What's up, everybody? Welcome to another show of Testify to Hip Hop. This is an Untold Stories edition. We got my boy Estevan. Hey, what's up, Estevan?
How you doing, brother? How's it going?
He's a famous DJ, famous videographer. Pretty sure you guys know about him. We also got my mans.
Yeah, Eric Stone right here. So let's get into it, man. Your life is one to talk about, man. It's I don't even know where to begin because we saw the documentary, right?
Yeah.
And there's a reason why there was a documentary made about you and your people, and I really just want to like kind of get into it. Of we all know the backstory to an extent, right? Yeah. It's all in the documentary. What was it like starting that documentary and having people wanting to make it?
Well, I've been filming on and off for about a little bit over 25 years.
Okay.
Of everything that we were doing of our crew, which our crew is called the Soul Assassins, and it was me, Cypress Hill, House of Pain, Cartoon, Funk Dubious, the Hooligans. So we had like a pretty deep crew of people in the hip hop world. And I was the one guy that always had a camera or a video camera with me because my dad, put me onto a camera when I was younger, like probably around in the 92, 93. Okay. And then I got comfortable using it around like 94. And then in 97, a friend of mine handed me a Super 8 camera, or 8mm. Okay. And I was shooting with that. So I was, shooting a little bit of video film and then, 35mm film. Wow. But.
And you had no proper training, no education, nothing. You just kind of just.
Yeah, no, it was just like my dad showed me how to work the camera because it's an old school manual. It was a Minolta SRT ST2, I think it's called. And I used that for a little while. And then I bought my own. It was a Canon 81. And I've been rolling with that one ever since. And, I just took a camera everywhere I went. And we were gonna do a documentary in the early 2000s. It was called Ink. Okay. There's if you go on the YouTube, it says Ink the trailer, and you could see like what I was using to pitch, before. And we got a couple good meetings. We had Lawrence Bender, who was the producer for Quentin Tarantino.
Oh wow! Okay.
We had Chris Mills, who's a local homie, who he played for the NBA. And he wanted to get into the film industry. Yeah. And then we had Brian Grazer and Ron Meyer from Universal Imagine. So it was either we do a movie with the homie, who would just fund it and we could do our own thing and wouldn't have to do it independent. We can go with Lawrence Bender, who we're a fan of all the movies that him and Quentin Tarantino have done. Or we could go with the blockbuster hitters, which was Brian Grazer and Ron Meyer.
Gotcha.
And they didn't want to do the documentary. They're like, let's do a feature. So with that contract, that tied up all the footage and the film. And it was like, okay, since we're going to do a feature, you can't do a documentary about it because then it'll be like a kind of a compete type thing. It'll put the story out there before, we want to just come out of the gate with this feature. I was like, okay, cool. So that went on for 10 years. And then we got the footage back in 2017. Wow. Because the feature had come out. And then the feature was called Lowriders. And we ended up being executive producers and consultants on that movie.
I remember that movie.
And then,
you saw that?
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Oh, wow.
We got the rights to the footage back, and at that couple months later, I met a guy named Sebastian Ortega, who's owns a production company in Argentina. Yeah, and he's the only guy in Argentina that has a lowrider. He's
so he definitely stands out.
Definitely stands out. He's a very successful movie executive. Okay, down in Argentina, Buenos Aires. But when you see the guy, he's wearing Chuck Taylors, Dickies, and white T-shirts, and covered in tattoos, sleeve down. Cool. So I was like, I go, man, you know, I think he'll get this, you know, with no problem. So he's like, I want to put this documentary out. You know, can I bring you down to Argentina and show you my, you know, my facility and everything, so you can see, you know, what I'm working with?
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. He got me a first class ticket, flew me down there.
Wow.
You know, took care of me, and stayed there for like I think a week or 10 days maybe or something like that, and went all around with him and saw his whole operation. I was like, man, this is the guy to do it with for sure. So I came back and I told Toons, I was like, hey, you know, I found a home for this thing.
Yeah.
So we took the footage down there, and he put on his team of, he got us a writer, producer, and he had like on staff editing. I think he has like 3 or 4 editors worked on this project, and it was nonstop for like 2 years. They were going at it.
So it wasn't like you got to deal with Netflix and then they funded it. It was you guys put it together and presented it to them.
Yeah, he had the first. Sebastian put up the first money, got the ball rolling. But because he's so successful in Latin America, he has a couple of #1 shows. He has a show called El Marginal. It's a really big show down there in all of Latin America, but it's like the #1 show in Buenos Aires. And he has a couple other shows. He wins, you know, wins a lot of awards and stuff. So
that's awesome.
I felt like I was in a good home, you know. I was like, you know, before we were with Brian Grazer, and of course he is who he is. He's one of the top filmmakers in the world. But this was like a little documentary in all these, the world of all these huge movies, you know?
Yeah.
So we kind of felt like we were like a little bit lost, you know, like with, as far as, you know, there's these multi-million-dollar budgets, and then our little documentary, you know.
And so you're trying to find a place to fit in.
Yeah, and like you know, Sebastian has more of a is called Underground Productions, and it had more. It felt more like a home for this project for us. So, you know, just took off like right away. He was like, he got it rolling, the ball rolling really quick. Like he was like, let's get you down there. You can see my spot. Let's get the footage down here. I'll get my team on it, and we'll go. And it was just like boom, boom, boom. He just, you know,
that's awesome.
He got all the right guys on it. Never let up, and we just went 2 years straight into editing and refilming some new interviews, like with Eminem and. You know, a lot of the people that were in some of the footage, like, you know, Paul Rosenberg, Clifton Collins, Wilmer Valderrama.
And it's crazy, too, because I told Joey, I said, man, you got to check out this documentary, right? I saw it when it first came out because I was just hyped about it.
Yeah.
And and so when I saw it, and the fact that it was hugely successful on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
And when, like, this industry, you tried to start this in the early 2000s, right? So you had to get your rights back to all the footage. You had to do all this. Like, people don't see that side of it, right? They think it's just, oh, you got a great story. It's just easy, walk in.
No.
It's not like that at all.
Nothing like that. I mean, I kind of veered off, but the thing about Sebastian is because he had existing shows on Netflix and they did so good, he was able to just walk it into Netflix Latino, like in Latin America. And then those guys liked it so much that they showed it to like the headquarters, you know, US Netflix. And that's when they were like, okay, let's show this worldwide.
Yeah.
But at first it was only going to come out in Latin America.
Wow.
And we were cool with that. Yeah, I was cool with it just coming out in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, because you had no
South
idea.
South America, I didn't care. I was like, cool, it was, you know, at least it's coming out.
Yeah.
But, you know, we had nothing but, you know, hits in there, you know. Like the footage was all you know, our story. We had you know, some of the best people in there. We just put out a soundtrack with, you know, some top artists.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you have people like Eminem and Snoop and those guys, you know, batting for you. It's like, how can you lose? You know,
exactly. People try to get that and they can't get them on board. So the fact that you guys just do it just from a friendship that you worked with them, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, like Eminem, he's one of the hardest people in the world to get at. You know, but for us, he was one of the coolest people we've ever worked with and gotten to know in this industry. I mean, when we met him in the 90s, he had just come out. Like, I went and saw him at my boy Bigga B, rest in peace, had a club called Unity in Hollywood. And it was right there at the Florentine Gardens. That's where I first saw Eminem. He had brown hair. He came out doing My Name Is. And at first, everybody was like, at that time, it was more, brown and black people in the hip hop clubs.
So I want to get into this because, wait, how old were you when this came out? My Name Is.
I was going to tap into that anyways because the entire documentary, I was just blown away by a lot of it because it was mentioned in Cypress Hill or even early Eminem, and I was like, wow. I was born in 92.
So you were born in 92.
Yeah.
I was born in 1990. Like, for me, when I first heard Eminem, right, I was like, we're making you feel so young right now. So when I first heard Eminem, right, I heard my sisters talking about it, right? And I was like, wait, M&Ms are making music now? Like, I was thinking the candy, right?
Yeah.
So how was it like? Because what was it? It was 2000. It was 99 when he first came out. I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I didn't hear him until like 2000, 2001. How was it when he first came in the game? Like you were saying, it's mostly black and Latino people in hip hop. Like, how did it make you feel like this white guy coming in, having a crazy song like My Name Is? Like,
I mean, it made me feel great, because I'm coming from my camp is Cypress Hill, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I met them, Muggs. I met Muggs first.
Got you,
and
okay.
he's the white guy.
Yep.
So you're already dealing with white
he's over
guys
there
rapping.
producing his ass off.
So it was like
hits.
nothing new to you. It was like
it was like Muggs took me to Cypress Ave. I met B-Real and Sendog in '89, and he gave me this tape and he goes, "Hey, homie, here's this group. Is a cassette tape." He's like, "Here's this group. I still have it." And he just wrote on Cypress Hill. He goes, "We just got signed." I was like, "Oh, cool, man. That's great." Because at that time I was working the door at clubs and. The guys like Everlast came through, but he was with Ice-T and them, and I was friends with Booyah Tribe and all these West Coast artists from LA, and so Muggs was one of the people who used to come to the clubs, and then I met those guys, and you were starting to hear about people getting record deals. I was because until that I wasn't interested. I didn't give a fuck. I was just working construction and I was working at the clubs and I didn't know people that got record deals.
And how old were you when you met them?
In my 20s. I was in my early 20s.
Early 20s?
How was working at a club in your 20s?
It was cool. Like I was the guy to go to, the guy to be cool to, because if you wanted to get
like a
in,
promoter.
So basically you were a promoter?
No, I worked the front door.
Oh,
okay.
So you're the one that we all had to be friends with. You didn't want to piss you off. So
I was the guy that had to kiss ass too. But I wasn't the dick either, So I was cool with everybody. I respected everybody, but I stood my ground. If somebody came up drunk and acting stupid or, acting like, I'm on the guest list, I'd be like, well, I don't have you here. I don't know what you want me to tell you. You say you're here, I say you're not. I don't need to show you this because I don't need to prove shit to you, but I'll show you anyways. You're not on there.
Man.
So I'm doing my job. If you got respect, cool. If not, whatever, handle it, do your thing.
So after you got done, not got done, because you obviously transitioned from working to the club, what happened next?
Well, then I met the guys from Cypress, and I was real tight with Muggs and them, and he goes, "Hey, homie, I got a new group coming out, and some white boys," and I was like, back to what you said, I was like, fuck. At that time, there was, Everlast from Syndicate, Third Base, and Vanilla Ice.
Oh, God. Vanilla Ice. Wait, before you continue, what do you think about Vanilla Ice?
I mean, he was doing this thing, like back in those days, like, where our crew was, you come from like doing your own beats, you know, like doing like trying to make your own sound. And he came out with, you know, Ice Ice Baby, which was like, you know, everybody knew the beat already. Yeah. And then his look was a little bit different, and you're like, you know, it wasn't really our style from over here, you know. So I
can't
like,
stand it, but I hear people say from that time that they loved Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah,
like it was the shit.
Ice Ice was the shit.
I mean, that beat, you can't go wrong. It was already a hit before he got on it, you know.
Oh, okay.
And that's the type of thing. Like when people, if you want to be successful, you just grab a beat that's already hit and you just put your voice on it. Like it's kind of like easy, you know.
Yeah.
But you guys, not to cut you off, Cypress Hill also had a song. I remember watching the documentary, and they said we hit the stage, and they had no idea who these white guys were until they hear the beginning of the beat, and then everybody goes crazy.
Yeah, that was House of Pain.
Yeah.
Because which was Everlast. So Muggs goes, hey, I got a spot for you, you know, working, but it's with these new white boys that we got coming out called House of Pain. I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're like, you know, what are they like? And he goes, well, it's Everlast. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, that's cool, because, you know, I knew him from the clubs. Yeah. So me, Everlast, and Muggs went to go have dinner, and he's like, you know, this is a job. You know, at first it doesn't pay, but we'll pay for everything. We'll pay for your flights, hotels, and we'll give you per diem, you know, daily money to walk around with. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. You know, you get to travel and shit like that. And I was like, okay, I go from construction and working at the clubs where I was making, you know, a couple $100 a day to nothing, but I don't have any bills and I get to travel. At first, that's what they said, you know. So I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I told my bosses, like, is it cool if I do this? If I come back, I can get my job back? They go, fuck yeah, you know, you're our best guy. So that made me feel good that, like, if the shit didn't work out, at least I had my old job to go back to. I could just slide right in, and I was cool.
You were also a road manager, right?
That's what the job was.
Oh, okay.
Road managing House of Pain. Okay. So I went on tour, and with those guys, and the shit blew up. Jump Around was a song. Yeah. It blew up. At first we went to all these promo clubs, and most of them were, you know, brown and black clubs. And we'd go in, and I would be in some cities in like the South and stuff, or some back east, and we're walking through the crowd, and most of them, you know, it's like, you know, real hardcore hip-hop clubs, and we're walking through, and we're like, what's these motherfuckers? You could hear people like saying little shit, even though the music is blasting. We're walking through the crowd, and you could hear people like, who the fuck are these? You know, you could hear like little shit, and you're like, oh shit, you know, this might not be a good night.
You gotta make the best of it.
Yeah, we're gonna need some drinks. Hopefully, we get out of here cool, or get out the back door or something. You know, but so far, don't look so good.
Yeah.
At one point in time, how long were you guys on tour?
The longest?
Like 2-3 months, or what?
I would say 2 months was probably the longest of a one-time deal. Like it was probably all summer long.
Okay.
And then, you know, we hit the stage, and fucking Jump Around comes on, and all of a sudden, you know, at that time our show was 7 minutes. It was an intro and Jump Around. So you'd hear, you know, the intro is like, it's the house of pain, and then and the fucking beat kicks in, and the whole crowd just goes berserk.
Wow.
Everybody's like, oh shit, oh fuck yeah, you know, they're you know, jumping, wilding out, and then we're like, damn, okay, we are getting out of here alive, you know, no cuts and scrapes, you know. So it started going good, and pretty soon we started getting hired as like it was called I forget what it's called, but it's the type of thing where you can go play at a club,
like a residency.
No. Like you go play in different clubs all over the city, but you just go play your hit.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a club with a DJ, and then you just come in, do your hit, and you bounce. So sometimes,
sort of like a walkthrough.
Yeah, sometimes we do like 3 shows in a night.
Oh wow!
You know, different parts of the city.
Keep hopping around, just playing your hit.
They shoot us in a car service, and they're like, "Hey, you got to go here. You do that show, you jump across town 45 minutes, you do a show in this club, you jump back, do a show in this club, and we'll have you at the hotel by this time. We're like, all right, cool. Those shows were like $1,000 each at, in the early days.
Yeah.
So those guys, we were rolling together, like all family, all, brothers and shit. So they would be like, hey, you got the payday? Because I was a tour manager, so I was the one collecting. So I get the $1,000. Here you go. And they go, okay, here's your third, here's your third, here's your third. And it's 300, 300, 300.
Yeah.
And they go, here you go, bro. hand me the leftover 100.
Yeah.
So you're doing 3 of those in a night, 300. You're like, cool.
And you were expecting nothing.
Yeah, I was expecting, like, I didn't know when the shit was gonna kick in, where I was gonna get my money. So I was like, fuck yeah, this is cool. And then it started going like, the checks started getting bigger, and they're like, but I was collecting all the cash. So say it would be 2,000, then they'd split that up 3 ways, and then give me whatever was left over.
And just to ask, how many people are you splitting this $1,000 or $2,000 with?
4.
So this is like a
members, and then me.
This is a message to all the rappers who don't want to work hard. Here's somebody who's been doing shows on tour for $1,000 per club. So I really feel like you paved the way for them, to walk.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't in the band. I was a tour manager. So for them to do me like that, they were like, that was like, like a brother, like family,
Yeah.
like, because they could have said, hey, we'll give you money at the end of the week, a certain fee, and you're a hired hand, so I was like, fucking, I felt, like, damn, we're brothers right here, these motherfuckers, like, obviously I didn't make none of the music, I didn't make none of the rap, so I don't deserve, an even cut.
Yeah.
But what they were giving me was, I was cool with that, at that point I was making more than I was back home doing the construction in the doors. 8 to 10 hour construction day, then maybe 4 or 6 hours at the clubs, long hours. And this was a little bit cooler. I was traveling, seeing the world, there's hot girls coming to every show. We're getting like the best, we're getting free alcohol because you put that shit on the rider.
Were you getting when all the girls would go to the band members? Would some of them come to you just to like?
They had to come to me to get to them.
Right?
Like they had to come to me to talk to them. Because they're over there. Oh, you want to talk to the band?
So I want to talk to you.
At that time too, it was like the industry was coming out of the the big hair bands. So the whole idea of like, there was a classic rock days where there was like the hippie flower child, love, peace, and sex, drugs, rock and roll days. Then it went into crazy sex, drugs, rock and roll days with the big hair bands, and
like
then it went into hip hop. So we got the beginning of the hip hop days touring, with all that coming with it. You know what I mean? Like we came in, we're like, what the fuck is this? Like, what are groupies and what is this? Like, this shit's crazy. Like, like people are just like giving you free weed, giving you mushrooms. Girls are like, hey, lifting up their shirts at the shows. Like, grabbing you. Like nowadays it would be everybody would be going to jail. The whole club, like. The girls would be going to jail. The guys would be going to jail. Like everybody, I've been at shows where some of my friends are up there rapping, and there's 10 girls grabbing them.
Wow.
Grab between their legs, and nowadays if you first of all, if you did that to a woman back then, it'd be a wrap.
Oh yeah, game over.
Yeah, you couldn't go up to Madonna and just grab her shit and just be like, hey baby, but these dudes,
you could do that back then.
Hell no, you get smacked real quick.
Yeah, you could never do it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is
the girls would do it to the guys.
The girls would do it to the guys like crazy. And like, we'd be doing the shows, and like you see people like, dancing, singing every song, and then all of a sudden like one girl would flash. And then another one would see that girl, and then she would flash. And before you know it, like 10 girls are flashing you on stage, and it's like.
So this is my thing. How often did you see a road baby? Somebody who was on tour and met a girl, and then they had a baby with him. That's the road, baby. But you have to go to the next city.
Yeah, I think.
How often does it happen?
I mean, it happens, but not that often.
Really?
But I would say that it probably happened the most when we were on tour because, like, at that time, like the like condoms weren't the biggest thing in the world, and
They
AIDS,
still ain't really.
like,
Like,
I don't know.
I mean,
AIDS
you
came
gotta
out
use them, but like,
AIDS came out in the 80s,
oh yeah.
and we were going on tour in the early 90s. So and
Peak
the
era.
the common like word about AIDS was is in the gay world.
Yeah.
So people were just
They
being
were on
wild.
the edge. Yeah.
Well, they were on the edge kind of, but at the same time they were kind of like, well, let's just, we're on tour. There's hot girls. We're not doing nothing wrong. Like there was a lot of misinformation about like that disease.
Yeah. I mean, Magic Johnson had it, and people didn't want to play next to him,
Yeah.
and they had no idea you can't get it that way.
Yeah.
And so like nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like, you're young. There's a lot of hot girls around all over the world. You're partying. You're having fun. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some road babies here and there.
Probably more than they know of.
Yeah.
You gotta go back.
I think the 23andMe is getting everybody twisted.
Yeah.
That's getting everybody caught up.
You said the what?
23andMe.
What's that?
That's the thing where you send your DNA and it tells you if you have kids or relatives anywhere.
Okay. But if they don't send theirs in, then you would never know.
Right.
True.
So it got to be a connection.
But a lot of people are. So a lot of people are
sending theirs in.
finding out. Oh, I got a brother over here. I didn't even know, and this and that. I got a kid over here. Didn't even know. So
I mean, a kid, yeah. But I mean, like, I want to go meet my brother.
Yeah.
Who's all the way across the world. Like, not really. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't. Honestly, I don't know, man.
brother.
I got so many cousins I didn't even know I had. Like, it's just my family keeps getting bigger every year. Like, shit. So, like, I got Native Indian in me. I know it wasn't through love. So, like, it's just like, how was it like? How did you feel when like it kind of stopped? When it faded out? Like when that lifestyle did you miss it? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, there's lightweight depression. Like when you're not on tour, you get kind of bummed out. Because to me, I was used to going to a city, doing our job, going to bed in a hotel, getting up the next morning, or driving on a bus all night to the next city. In the bunks, in the buses, they're about like as big as this couch, and they go like this. So you're kind of like in a coffin, but it's cool.
Like cool.
Like that was home.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of space.
Like you'd have your little cubby hole, you'd have your shit set up. Like back then, we had these cassette players, like little Walkmans, and you have your little Walkman tucked in with there was like a little hook. You put your headphones there, and when you go to bed, you just put your music on and kick it, and you have all your little shit hooked up. And then all of a sudden you're like, all that shit stops. You're back at home. You're like, fuck, I can't wait till the next tour. I was just in New York. We flew to Paris. We went down to Italy. We went to Germany. There's all these kids screaming and yelling and like, doing all this cool shit. And then you're back home.
So what? Okay, you gotta give me the craziest night you had on tour, and whether it be with a girl, whatever the case may be, like what was like the one thing that you just like you remember that night every time?
I mean, there's so many I don't remember.
Really?
Yeah, like it was. I mean, like we're from House of Pain in Cypress Hill, right? So we're like rowdy youngsters from LA. Yeah. Where LA's already known for being rowdy city. And then what we were representing was weed, partying, having fun.
So it was just normal.
Yeah, so like you're getting people bringing you buds that you didn't even know existed. And then they're bringing you bags of mushrooms that you're like, what am I gonna do with this? Yeah. And then you're just like getting all this shit and you're like, man, I don't even know what's up, you know, like this shit's crazy, you know, people are giving you ecstasy pills and you're in different, you know, countries and, you know, like there was so many crazy times, like, you know, there's the first day I worked with Cypress Hill, after working with House of Pain for 3 years, my first day was Woodstock 94. And so it's 500,000 people, 1994, and I met with Bobo, who's a percussion player. He flew in. He was on tour with the Beastie Boys, so he had a day off. And B-Roll's like, man, we need you at this show. You need to come. This is gonna be the shit. It's fucking Woodstock, man.
Where was that?
In Woodstock, New York.
Okay.
It's like
upstate
city,
New York,
up north. Okay.
out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So he was like, fuck it, I have a day off. I'm out there. Let's go. So he got a ticket. I think he flew in from Miami. I flew from LA. They got us a helicopter to fly in backstage because there's only two ways you can get in: a boat or a helicopter.
With 500,000 people attending,
there's no way you're driving there.
Yeah.
No, you would never get in. It's no show.
Yeah.
So we flew in with two of the members of Jefferson Airplane. That were, you know, so to us, we're like, damn, we're flying in with two of the original members from the first Woodstocks, you know, like, we're like, this is sick, you know, we're in a helicopter.
And a lot of these shows, you were the only person with a camera on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been crazy too.
So, you know, like, not every single one, but especially Woodstock, I wasn't going to be, you know, like, they knew, like, we're going to have, you know, this shit's going to be well documented because of the last one.
Yeah.
So we fly in backstage and, you know, just coming in a helicopter with those two guys, you know, and flying in to the backstage. And then we start doing the show. Like, we came in after Henry Rollins and he was rocking his, you know, his set.
Yeah.
The kids were pumped up. But then, like, when Cypress Hill came out, it just unloaded, you know, it unlocked.
And at Woodstock, you become legends. Right?
Yeah,
that's where, like, so many legends have been made.
I mean, like, I think it had rained there a couple of days before, and they had plywood down for all the people. So when Cypress came out, I think they came out to either Hand on the Pump or We Ain't Going Out Like That, or one of those songs that's like really hyped, and the crowd automatically went berserk, and they started peeling off the plywood off of the floor, and underneath the floor was all mud. So they would peel off the plywood and hold it up over their head, and then they would put a kid up on top, and they were doing crowd surfing for real, like on top of the plywood. The
we
mud
missed out
puddles,
on Woodstock, guys. We missed out.
the mud puddles were just we had the name for them was the Mud People.
Yeah.
So there's like a couple hundred mud people doing like a mosh pit in the mud, fully covered.
And people would be sliding in the mud, everything.
Sliding. They had this thing where they would get like a blanket. I don't know where the fuck they got it, but they'd get like a blanket, a group of people, and they would let the blanket get like, like all saggy, and then they'd all stretch it out.
What?
And lift the people like 10, 20 feet in the air.
Oh, like a trampoline.
Yeah. So
holy crap!
They're like launching people in the air, and mud's flying everywhere, and the music's going crazy. And then
drugs.
The thing these guys, lots of drugs.
Lots of drugs.
The thing these guys were known for was mosh pits, and they're known for jumping in the mosh pit. So when B-Real and Sendog were like, "Hey, we're gonna go in," we're like, "No, not today, guys." You know, it's like, dude, you don't see that out there. Look at how wild. And B jumps in, and I was like, "Oh man, here we go." He goes in. They're ripping his shirt to where he like they're pulling his shirt so hard that he's holding it like this just so he could breathe and rap. And they're taking off his shoes and socks, and then Sen jumps in, a little bit down, and we're the only crew guys, and we're the only ones that know what they're doing. So the security and all those guys, they don't know what the fuck's going on. They're like, what's going on? These guys jump, they're tripping out. So we get in and we, pull them back in, and, they're all fucked up. The shirts are all stretched out, no shoes, no socks.
Yeah, they got that one.
But
I'm okay.
The show was, live as fuck.
People.
Yeah.
That's
insane.
The kids went bananas after that. And that comes from be in LA and being around the hardcore groups, you know, around the punk scene.
You know, here's the thing, right? Like, I've been to a good amount of festivals and concerts and everything. My generation, I've never seen an event, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or whatever, but I've never seen anything crazy like that in person.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah,
Not even in footage.
Like
you don't see it at Coachella. You don't see that, the Governor's Ball in New York.
Well, like he said, a lot of people will go to jail now.
Huh?
So, like he said, a lot of people would go to jail now. So
I see mosh
even
pits, right? But it's not like that. Like, they'll just get in a circle and push each other around and stuff. But it's not to that extent. That's just insane.
This shit was
what
full
drugs
blown.
were they doing?
Everything?
No, I'm saying, what drugs were they doing differently then than now? What's the reason why they're not that crazy?
It was just a different mindset, you know. Like people were more open, and like it hadn't really went off yet. It hadn't really happened yet to where people didn't really know how to react. It was kind of like, whoa, what's going on
this
here?
Is still new.
And they're like, wow, that's cool. You know, look at they're getting into it.
There you go. Don't worry about them.
And now everybody's so focused on getting on their camera
lawsuits
phone.
and
everybody's so cool
they're
now,
like,
too.
oh, you know, no mosh pits because you know there'll be a lawsuit, and you know they kind of fucked it up. You know, like they put so much restrictions on it. It's almost not cool. You know, like, it's not as fun.
Because then you got an insurance issue and all this. It's just
like when we weren't on stage performing. Like say we went like. When we did a tour with Limp Bizkit, the Napster tour.
Okay.
It was Cypress and Limp Bizkit, and we rotated nights that we were headlining. When we weren't on stage, we would go in the crowd and go in the pit.
Wow.
You know, like me and B-Roy would be, I go, hey, you want to go in the pit tonight? He's like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah. So Fred would be out there singing, I did it all for the nookie, you know, and he's flipping out. And here comes B on stage, you know, he's like, you know, raising his hand there, but yeah, B, there's B. Yeah. Boom, he jumps in the crowd. And I can't let the homie go in by himself, you know, they'll fucking eat him alive, you know, so I got to jump in and help him get back to the front.
Why'd you let him jump in by himself?
Push over, you know. But that shit was live, you know. You get a couple, you know, kicks and elbows to the head or whatever, but it was all part of it, you know.
Man,
it was part of the culture, part of the lifestyle. It was definitely a lot of fun, you know. Like I think doing all that shit made me become like an adrenaline junkie, you know.
Yeah.
Like, to where I always just want to be doing crazy shit.
That sounds like the reason why.
Yeah.
Why I would guess. So can we get into Cartoon? How you met Cartoon? When you met Cartoon?
I met Cartoon in 1992, and it was at this record release party for the Penthouse Players, and he had done the album cover artwork.
Oh, so, yeah, right before the riot, right? Or around the same time as the riot?
I think before. Okay. Probably, yeah. And then I went with my friend Donnie Charles, and me and him used to go to a lot of clubs together, and he knew Cartoon. So when we went in the club, he looked around to see if he knew anybody, and goes, hey man, you know, he's a black dude. He goes, hey man, there's my other Mexican homie right there, Cartoon. You know, he likes low riding and all, you know, the same shit we do.
Leave it to black people to
so I was like, cool, you know.
White people don't do that shit.
He took me over and
we other Mexican friends.
We kicked it, you know. But like, at that time, there wasn't a lot of, you know, it was like
only like 3 or 4.
There was a couple, you know, like a couple handfuls.
Yeah.
And there was a couple, you know, handfuls of white dudes that were in the industry, like they were an accountant or a manager or an A&R or somebody at the label, but you didn't really see like the club scene that mixed, you know? It wasn't like, you know,
diverse as
it was the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of, it was like a hood thing.
Yeah.
Like the hip hop scene. So, it still pretty much is, you know?
Yeah.
If you think about it, but
so when you met Cartoon, this is when you did all the Woodstock and everything?
No, I hadn't done that. I had just started with House of Pain.
I got you. Okay.
We had just got back from Japan on a promo tour.
Okay.
And I had a cassette sampler, which was the single, which had Jump Around, and I think it was the same thing that we would play at the shows, like the intro and the house and the Jump Around. Mm-hmm. And it was like a little cassette sampler, and it had like a little sleeve on it. And I was like, hey, man, there's a new single of the group I'm working with. You know, nobody had really heard of him yet. He was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, I go, what do you got going on? He goes, oh, I'm going to go to Japan and airbrush, do murals on lowriders. I go, oh, okay, that's cool,
they
man.
love lowriders out there.
Yeah. I go, I just got back from there. He goes, what? I was like, he goes, what'd you do over there? And I go, I went out there with that group, you know, we did some shows out there. He was like, fuck, what's it like? I go, oh, it's good, you know, the bomb food and like the low riding, everybody's like hip hop shit is cool as hell over there. Like, you know, it's a whole different vibe, but it's cool, you know?
Yeah.
It's like some shit you gotta see.
How are the shows in Japan? How do you like it?
At those times, they were great. They were off the hook. During the whole time you're doing the show, the people in the people that are supporting you, they were singing every single word of the song.
They knew it all?
Right, but they didn't speak one word of English.
That's funny that you say that.
As soon as the song would end, it would be like dead quiet.
It's crazy when you say that, right? Because I lived in Asia, right? I lived in Southeast Asia. He is not like, it's like legit. They will know they'll know him better than I will when it comes to the lyrics. Yeah. But then when you try to speak to them, nothing.
Yeah, like you could.
I was there for a while. They called me Kobe Bryant like 4 times. Like, why are you calling me Kobe?
Yeah.
That's like the only black person we know. What's up, Kobe?
That's great.
That's awesome.
But like, you know, back then they were, you know, there would be time where they would do, like if you're DJing, you know, you pull the sound down, you know, the music track down, and the crowd would sing, you know, through the chorus and shit.
Oh, I get it.
So, you know, you could hear how live the crowd was and how much they really knew your music. And then as soon as the song would go off, and they'd be like, "Hey, what's up? You know, how you guys doing tonight?" And they're like,
Cricket.
How y'all feeling? And then you're like, okay, the next song. You know? Hey, start the next one. And then,
let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we started having to learn like little words here, you know, like going
they
back.
They love that too. When you learn like a certain language or certain words in their language, you say it, they go crazy for it.
Yeah, you say like, hey, what's up? Or, you know,
because you're embracing
Japanese,
the culture.
Yeah, you're like trying, you know?
Yeah, they respect it.
And then we started getting friends all around the world, and then we would tell them, hey, we're coming to do like, we had a friend, Big Red. He did like hip hop and reggae music, and he was in a group called Ragasonic, but he came to LA, and he just came on a vacation. I guess he was going through some hard times and came to LA and ended up getting tattooed by Cartoon, and we got along with him real good, and he was like cool as fuck. So he ended up staying here for a little bit, and we ended up doing like 2 or 3 of his album covers. I did 2 of his music videos. Cartoon tattooed him a bunch of times, and then so we built this friendship with him, so that every time we'd go to Paris, I'd be like, "Hey, Big Red, we're coming to Paris," you know. I go, "Are you around? Are you gonna be around?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Okay, cool." Because when you're the headliner, you could, if you don't bring a group with you to open up for you, you could pick somebody, or if you don't, they'll pick somebody for you. So they'll pick like local talent. So every time we'd go to Paris, we'd tell the promoter, "Hey, put Big Red on the show, you know, to open up for us." So you just meet cool people like that around the world, and you know, every time you come in town, you like hook up and hang out, and it's like, you know, just like anytime you're with family or friends.
I'm in town, like, you know.
Yeah, you're like, you know, when you see them again, it's just like, you know, how it was when you left. You know, all that gap didn't really change nothing about how you guys are with each other.
Yeah.
So every time we go to, you know, different cities and see our friends, it was like, you know, you're going around, you have like a family around the world.
That's so awesome.
Are you still connected with any of these people now?
Yeah. Like I still talk to them. I got friends in Brazil, France, Germany, Japan, Thailand, Australia, you know, like different countries that we went to several times where you could, you know, like New York was our second home.
Oh, yeah?
Because that's where the label was.
It's the best city.
So that's where, you know, the label and the manager was. So we would just, you know, that was our, you know, our home away from home.
Yeah.
You know, we knew New York like you know.
What's your favorite part of New York?
I mean, I like it all, you know, depending on who you're with. You know,
Yeah.
like
Good answer.
we go to Brooklyn, we hang out with the Lords of Brooklyn, or
Yeah.
you know, our other friends from the graffiti crews. We go to the Bronx. You know, we hang out with the Tats crew, or you know, there's like different crews in different parts of the city that you kick it with.
Did you ever work with like any of like the old school guys? Well, now they're considered old school. They weren't back then. But like, did you work with like Big Daddy Kane or you know, Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, like any of those guys over there?
No, I never worked with any of them.
So you never really got to collab or meet any of them over there in New York, huh?
I never got to collab with them in any type of way, but I did meet them, you know?
Okay.
Like I took my son one time to New York, and we went to a hip hop club, and like he was getting into hip hop. I think he was 18 at that time. And I was like, hey, man, I want to take you to New York and you can trip out on all my friends and, you know, we can go to cool shit, you know? And he's like, yeah, let's go. And I took him to New York and, like, we went to my one friend, Marlon. He's like a Russian guy into the hip-hop scene. He took us to these, like, Russian sauna bathhouse places where you go in these, like, 200 degrees and then you get into the ice water. And you're just like, this, you know, all that shit was crazy to us, you know. And then he's taking us, you know, him and my boy Mike from Frank's Chop Shop. Like, those two guys can get you into any club in New York.
Wow.
So we go with them. And then I knew my people, too, from, you know, doing the House of Pain shit in Cyprus. So when I take my son, we're going to all the coolest clubs, we're going to all the coolest events, coolest places, and the best food places, you know, because after going there all these years...
You can't do, like, corporate chains in New York. You got to go local all day.
Yeah, like, my favorite restaurant in New York is Bar Pitti. It's an Italian place on 6th Ave and Bleecker. The guy Giovanni there, he always hooks us up. Like, I can't go to New York and not eat there. Like, I feel fucked up. Like, if I go to New York, if I'm over there on a layover and I have enough time, like a couple hours, I'm like, okay, I can get out of the airport. I can go to Bar Pitti, be back in time, make it, you know, like, I'm cool. Let's do this.
Are they still there?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I got to check it out then.
Oh, it's off the chain. Italian spot. So I take my son. The first club we hit, my friend Tony Touch was DJing, and it was, you know, he's just getting into hip hop. So this is the lineup he sees. His first night to his first hip hop club in New York is Kool Herc, the first DJ ever.
Kool Herc,
First hip hop DJ ever
you know,
do
the
it.
grandfather.
There was Kid Capri, Clark Kent, and Tony Touch.
Not bad. Not bad for a first tip.
Yeah, that is a good.
You know, so he's
DJs.
hearing nothing but hits in the clubs. Over there, the people don't try and act cool. They're not all standing around like
Definitely how it is here.
standing with their head against the wall. Like, you know, you don't know who's you don't know who's gonna
Everybody
do
in
what
New York
to.
fucks with everybody.
Everybody in New York is let's dance.
Yep.
Let's party. Let's have a fucking good time.
Yep.
And he was like, Dad, I feel at home right here. Like, I want to come here. And at that time, he was working for a restaurant. He was like in one of those restaurant groups, and they have different restaurants, you know, LA, and he was working at the Hollywood Bowl, and they had a restaurant also at the Disney Center.
Okay.
That silver one downtown.
Yeah.
They also have spots in New York. So I was like, man, tell them that you want to transfer to New York and just try living here for a year.
Yeah.
You know, like get a little ass apartment. I'll hook up my friends to, you know, find you a little cheap spot and come out here for a year and just trip out on it, you know?
Yeah.
Is he out there now?
No.
Didn't go well.
He got 2 kids. He's at the pad.
Oh, yeah.
But,
you can't, yeah.
You know, like I got to go to 44 countries by that time on tour.
Yeah.
Since then, I've been to 50. Now I'm at 56.
Okay.
That I went, you know, after being on tour with the bands, I couldn't let it go. You know, I still needed to travel, so I figured out a way to hustle my photography into being able to travel with it to other countries.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I ended up, you know, now I'm at like my 56th country.
So what did you do when you found a new way to hustle your photography?
You mean how?
Like, yeah.
I would take on any, like, people are like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if you could come and do an art show here, and I'd be like, you know, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, fuck yeah, I need to get there, you know, like, I gotta figure this out. And I'd be like, well, you know,
try to play it cool.
yeah, like, you know, I'd have to be, you know, my plane ticket covered, my hotel covered, you know, and I definitely have to have my, you know, per diems covered, but it would be cool if you could guarantee me like one sale, so I'm not losing money going there, you know. And they would go, okay, let's see what we can do. And they, you know, set up an art show, and they would like hit up their buyers, you know, their collectors that they already had a roster of. And they'd be like, hey, this guy wants to come do a show. You know, he's coming here on this date. You know, what do you think of these pieces? And they would set it up to where I would already have one picture sold before I got there. So I was like, cool, I got my bills paid at home. Yeah. I got my bills paid on my trip. Yeah. And I'm out of here. Yeah. You know, and I started doing that and started taking on jobs where somebody would be like, oh, we love your work. You know, would you want to come and do a video over here, a music video directing? Or would you want to come do a photo shoot for our clothing brand? I'd be like, yeah, you know, and I'd do the same thing. Well, you know, I have to have this covered, that covered. And, you know, but yeah, it sounds cool. And sure enough,
and it became a thing, and it just became very,
I started, you know, because it's weird how it seems like people overseas appreciate the culture or whatever more.
Way more than they do here, and way longer too.
Like if you're going to Japan as like being in the hip hop scene or the lowrider scene, like they just throw the red carpet down and like treat you, you know, like a king. Yeah. Pretty much anywhere you go.
If you were an 80s hip hop star, right, in the 80s, here, now you can't sell at a stadium. Over there in Europe or Asia, easy.
A lot of artists still doing tours in other countries.
Yeah, make way more money. Soldier Boy still does it
overseas. He makes a lot of money overseas.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. You know, so I mean, that's what I did. You know, I was like, man, fuck competing here with all these people trying to do the same thing that we all do the same shit together. Yeah, I'll go to Europe and you know, like I think Tom Waits had a song that was called "Big in Japan." You know, and I'll just go around the world and I'll do shit, you know. Like when you go as an outsider somewhere and you're coming as a guest, you know, like it opens up a little bit more to you, know. I'm sure once if you're like, oh fuck, I love it here, I'm gonna move here, this is great. You know, I think people would be like, you know, there's another guy trying to move in on our shit. But if you're going there as a guest and you're like, you know, come in one time, do your thing, and go back home, you're cool.
Over there, like when I lived there, I lived in Asia for 3 years. Almost 3-4 years. And
what part?
It didn't. Philippines. I lived in Shanghai, China, Beijing, pretty much all over. Right.
What are you living there for?
I was a teenager. My dad did aviation, right? So I went to high school there. And it didn't matter where I went, I was treated like a king. Yeah. People just assumed we were broke, right? But people just assumed we had money because I was a white boy in Asia. They just assumed. Didn't matter what I wanted, anything. Oh, we don't know tables available? We do for you.
So you know the language?
Huh?
You know the language?
Yeah, I can say putang ina mo. What long titi mo?
What is he saying?
Like that's Mandarin. Cool. I did Tagalog and Mandarin. So yeah, I know. I'm not fluent like I used to be though. No, you couldn't. Too much alcohol, you know.
I've been to China filming a documentary. Yeah. I got hired to do a documentary for Apple. Okay. And it was like analog versus digital. And this is when like the iPhone 3 had come out. And they were transitioning to the iPhone 4. So they were like all caught up with that and it never came out. But they sent me to 8 different countries. Yeah. China was one of them. And we went to Beijing and Shanghai and filmed like some, I guess you'd say like techno music type groups and then some hip hop groups. And man, that was a good experience.
You guys like China?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I like anywhere. I like to go anywhere and see
Because experiencing new culture, you know.
I don't know. Certain countries that I've been to, I'm just not a fan. I just
Like
couldn't
what?
wait to leave.
I mean, I was tripping out.
Beijing, I was like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't
You got to
know
go to
why.
Shanghai. Beijing is too spread out. I go to Shanghai.
But Japan, definitely.
Yeah.
I love Japan, but China was just, it was different. I didn't like it at all. I didn't want to learn Mandarin or nothing. I just wanted to go.
Yeah, China was a trip for me. You know, like it was different because I had been to Japan so many times. So I was thinking like, you know, it's Asia. It's gonna be like Japan, and you know, I love Chinese food and all that shit. You know, all the cliches you think of when you're traveling.
Yeah.
And you get
I
there,
thought
there's
that same
nothing that
Like you
nothing you ever ate here or names of the food is over there.
Nothing.
You can't get no cashew chicken over there or none of that shit.
Nothing.
Like you look at the menu, going, I never seen none of this.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know what to eat. You know?
I didn't know what. I didn't even know how to use the chopsticks at the point. I was like stabbing the stuff, you know, like, and then when you learn, your fingers become sore after like the first dinner.
Yeah, you get like cramps.
Yeah.
And the food was hot, and then they served me hot water with the hot food. I'm like, where's the ice water? But that's not traditional for them.
And if you eat noodles, you better slurp them because the cook will come out and be like, "Why aren't you slurping the noodles? This is not good." And it's just like spit. I don't know about now with COVID, but like back in the day, you had to slurp the noodles.
You had to pretend like the food was good.
No, you had to slurp. If you didn't slurp, like, you know, like slurp and everything, and the noodles are spitting and like all the, like, they think it's not good.
Yeah, if you weren't being loud and making a mess, then they think you didn't like the food.
Yep.
I never. Is that because you're American, or they even want Chinese people to do it?
No, Chinese people
everybody.
do it. Yeah, everybody does
no,
it.
that's wild. No, we don't eat like that. How about that?
Hell no.
But there's different customs everywhere you go. You know, like
you gotta adapt.
Like in China, any bodily function is natural. Yeah. It's a human thing. So if you fart, piss, burp, shit, or spit, it's like normal, you know.
Wait, I thought it
you never have to say.
Dubai, you're not supposed to spit on the ground.
No, that's not Dubai. That's it might be Dubai. I don't know, but it's Singapore. Yep.
But in
you can't
China,
chew gum.
Where's Singapore?
Yeah.
Is it not in Asia?
I don't know. It's in Asia. It's Southeast Asia.
Oh, but it's in a different region than the bodily fluid, Chinese stuff that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like you could go down.
Singapore's like its own little.
Like you'll be walking on the street and somebody will spit like right in front of you as you're stepping. You know, like man, you know when people spit like right in front of you, like
that would be another reason I would want to leave. Like,
they would be taking a shit on the street. Like I'm talking about not homeless people. I'm talking about a guy in a suit. You come around the corner and there's a guy he has money. He has everything. He'll just take a shit on the street. Now, I'm not saying like it's like normal everywhere,
see this?
But it does happen.
Oh yeah, because I ain't never heard this. This is wild. She over there like,
Yo, so let's get back to the hip hop, man, because now we're going on a whole other world, right?
Yeah.
So, what was it like meeting like guys
Cent.
like?
What was it like meeting 50?
50 is it? What was it like meeting 50?
50 when we first met him, he was just about to sign. Like the day he came to meet us, he had already had a meeting with Jimmy Iovine.
Okay.
And he was gonna sign like right then.
Yeah.
But we had already been bumping the mixtapes. He was already huge in the street. You know, like
even Jay-Z said he's coming. Like everybody stopped.
Yeah, it was a different thing back then. Like you could make a mixtape and be a star in the game just off of mixtapes, where people to be a star in that same time when you had a record deal, like you had to be selling out arenas and shit like that. So it was like weird. Like you could be a star and be the type that's selling out stadiums and arenas, or you could be a star in the streets with your mixtape.
Interesting.
Like you're not really making no money, but everybody knows who you are. Yeah. Everybody's bumping your shit. And you're just like, you're that guy.
And then you have the higher chance of like actually getting signed.
And then you get, you go to Jimmy Iovine and you sign the deal.
Man.
And that's what happened when we met him. He cartooned did like the outline of his back, the 5-0.
Oh, cool.
And then he went and had a meeting. He had to go have a meeting with Jimmy Iovine that night. And then he came back the next day and got the inside of the letters or the numbers filled in. So that's at the point when we met him. So he was
right
like
when he got the tattoo.
Yeah.
Man.
A tattoo that took 2 days.
The first night the outline was
Yeah.
before he signed the deal. The second night, when he had gotten the inside of the numbers filled in, he had signed the deal.
When he came to get the tattoo, did he come with like 30 people?
No, he just came with a couple of his homies.
Oh, okay. Trying to see if the stereotype is true.
No, I think it was Lloyd Banks.
Okay.
And a couple other guys. Cartoon ended up tattooing all of them. Oh, Shaw Money XL.
Yeah.
So he ended up tattooing him, Lloyd Banks, and Young Buck.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those were all. And then we went on tour with them with the anger management. It was Eminem, D12, 50 Cent, the G Unit.
That was a crazy tour. Had to be.
Cypress Hill, and Exhibit, and Obi Trice was on there.
Yeah, that had to be a crazy.
So
tour.
what was it like? I mean, everybody flashes back to that tour, like the anger management tour. What was it? Can you like I don't know, try to make us feel like we're there? It was 2002-ish, right?
Yeah.
2000.
I mean, that was around the times when there was Up in Smoke.
Up in Smoke tour.
There was Smoking Grooves like that Cypress did with that was their tour. And we had like the Fugees and Busta Rhymes, Tribe Called Quest, Erykah Badu, Outkast, Ziggy Marley, George Clinton. Those were our tours, the Smoking Grooves. Then there was Up in Smoke with Drake, Snoop Dogg, and the Dog Pound, and all them. Then there was Anger Management.
Yeah.
So there was like these tours that were...
They were powerhouses.
Yeah, they were all heat. You know, and like... If you were getting on one of those tours, that's how you know you made it.
At that time.
Yeah, you know you made it when you're on one of those big tours.
So what was it like backstage, like with all those guys? Just like everywhere you look, it's a legend.
It's a party, like and everybody was family, and like everybody was having fun. Like you didn't see that many days where people would come up and they'd be like, what's
looking
up, man?
down. Like, but see, at that time, you probably didn't know that they were legends.
Like
they were just normal, like.
I mean, it was happening so fast that everybody was becoming a legend, and they were huge to be on those tours already.
Because 8 Mile already came out in 2001.
Yeah, like you're already big if you're on any of those tours that I mentioned. So if you're on one of those tours, your shit's popping, and everybody that is on those tours is happy because they're like, my shit's popping, this tour's popping, everything about it is fucking great.
And you, not to cut you off, you have been going on tours since '94. That was your first one.
'92.
So '92 to 2002, were you already like
I was a seasoned vet already.
Yeah, were you like, okay, I'm kind of tired of this?
No way. I was like, I got another 50 years of it.
Yo,
like I'm traveling.
Different girls every night.
Yeah, we got the girls, we got the food, we got the drugs, we got the, nice hotels, we got the nice flights. Like. Sometimes promoters, they're like, hey, you want to come for this festival? We're like, oh, where is it? Oh, way over there. And they're like, we'll give you first class ticket. We'll give you, hook you up with the best hotel.
Jet.
Yeah. Like the private jet thing wasn't that big back then.
Okay.
Like I've never been in a private jet, but I've been with the top groups in the world, traveling with them.
Been smoked too. I never been in a private. I'll take that.
We went to, it was Cypress Hill and Ice Cube. We all went on the regular plane. There was like 30 of us in the front of the plane.
But see, people didn't have iPhones back then either. So they weren't just taking
we had the chirp phones.
Random ass pictures.
The chirp phone?
Yeah, we had like the Nextel. Yeah. Like, chirp, chirp.
Yeah.
They're like walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, what's up, homie? Where you at? Because you didn't have to have phone service. For some reason, that worked on a different frequency. So you could just be chirping people, but you weren't adding up your bill. Because sometimes I'd get home from tour and have like $1,000, $1,500 phone bill.
Oh my god!
From overseas charges.
Send it to the label.
Wow.
Even before iPhones or before cell phones, we had pagers and we had two-way pagers.
Yeah.
And our home bills and like I think like the first time you really learn your lesson of what a phone could do to you is if you go on tour and you use hotel phones, like the phones in the rooms, and you're calling long distance to home. Man, them bills were like, you could easily spend a couple $1,000 on phone bills
just on the phone.
Just on month tour in Europe.
Wow.
Just calling home to your family, shit like that. You're like calling your girl.
And then you got the internet. It's just free.
Why don't you talk to me? I miss you. I know, but it's like, it's
$15 a minute. Right?
It's like $15 a minute. I know, but I haven't seen you. I know, but it's like expensive, man. Who's there? Who's in the room with you? Nobody. And I just don't want to fucking charge up the bill. Like, nobody's here.
You're cutting in our profit right now.
Yeah, like, any money I make, I'm going to spend it.
A whole bunch of girls waiting.
Like, shh, shut up.
Man.
You see that shit in the videos. Like, people are like, you see that shit on, like, IG and stuff. Like, people will be, hey, hold on, there's my girl. My girl's calling. And then, like, there's a party, and then everybody goes quiet. Like, what's up? Yeah, I'm in bed right now. And then they hang up, and the party goes back.
The party starts again. Man,
wow.
Well, now they got FaceTime, so you got to turn the lights off.
Oh, yeah, that shit's over.
Lay down.
So have you seen 50 Cent since you saw him get that tattoo?
Yep.
Is he different now than, obviously, yeah, but like, what's like is it like a major difference? Like, is he the same guy, or is he, like, does he still have like the streetness to him, or is he just too comfortable now?
No, I think he's just like 100% businessman,
That's what it looks like.
Like, he's just like that mogul, like everything he does is a hit,
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's on Bellator, he's, one of the promoters. He's doing a TV show as Empire, one of the biggest.
5 #1 shows.
Yeah, he's like, there's no, what are you gonna, how can you be all street doing that?
You can't be, you have to evolve.
Like, you're gonna scare people that you're working with,
Okay.
So you have to, like, be more business minded, and
You have to be.
like, when you're working with people, you can't, if you're doing the street thing, you're gonna scare them away.
Yep.
They're gonna
Exactly.
be like, I don't want to fuck with him, because if I fuck up, he might flip out on me or lose it.
Like Suge Knight crap, like people don't do it that anymore.
Did you guys ever run into Suge Knight? He never wanted anything to do with you guys, or what?
No, I knew him from, everybody's from LA.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we're always cool,
Okay.
We see him at the magic shows in Vegas, the clothing shit. Or he came to one of my videos, and I seen him around a few times.
Okay. Did you ever talk to him?
Yeah. I'd be, hey, what's up, homie? He was cool with us.
You ever see him rough up anybody?
No.
No,
I never seen
or you just can't talk about it.
No, I never seen it.
He's locked up, so you're good.
No, I never seen him. I never seen him trip on nobody, really.
Was it him, or was it his team?
I mean,
Or was it a mixture?
The times when I saw him, I don't really even notice if there was other. I mean, he might have had some homies around with him, but
That you didn't know.
like, you're
there?
just focused on him. He's fucking huge. You're like, hey, what's up, homie? Like, it wasn't like, here comes Suge and his entourage. It's more like, hey, there's Suge. Oh, all right. Hey, what's up, homie? Like, it was always like,
because you hear stories when he comes into like the music awards or whatever, and everybody's just freaking out. Like, Suge's here, like running, like you hear those stories, so you don't know if it's over exaggerated or if it was really like that.
I just think it's weird that they would get like that. Like, I mean, everybody's a man. Like, why would you run just because you hear somebody's coming into, a big event?
Because he's threatening to break your legs. Why would you run?
Well, I mean, if it's your legs he's gonna break and you fucked up, then
I'm good. Like, sorry, bro.
Like,
hopefully you got medical. Like,
if you did something wrong, then, But I don't know though. Everybody should run,
Man. So because we got to close out slowly. But
I was gonna ask. So on a note of even roughing people up, did you guys ever get into anything like that? Like any altercations on tour at the club?
Hell yeah.
How that normally go?
I mean, you just gotta get down. Represent your city, represent your crew. Like,
was there anything with like the like Cypress Hill or any of them that you were a part of where you just kind of had to get roughed down?
I mean, we had to fight a bunch of times. Yeah, we'd go to clubs and guys would get mad that, you're the out of town guy, the famous guy, and you're getting the girls, and they're jealousy. Like, fuck that, who the fuck they think they are, that type of thing. Or, we'd see bootleggers selling our shit, the early days, and, we didn't like people selling it, because to me it's like, it's cool you're feeding your family by stealing our logos and our artwork and making, but it's not cool to us, you know.
Yeah, of course not. It's your hard work. It's your life.
You're stealing.
Yeah.
You're stealing our shit. Like, how's that cool? It's not cool at all.
Yeah, it's definitely not cool.
So if we were in the parking lot or whatever, you know, how would you be, or what kind of man would you be if you walked by another man that stole your shit and he's selling it right in front of you, or even asking you like, hey man, I got this shirt. It's $10. You want it? Like, what kind of man would you be to be like, oh no, or just like not act like, you know, he was a homeless guy and, you know, asking you for money, you just walk by without even acknowledging him. I mean, for us, where we came from, or, you know, how we grew up, it's like, if you don't at least say something, you're a bitch, you know, or a punk.
You should at least acknowledge who you're trying to sell it to. You know,
no, you as the person that's getting your shit ripped off should at least acknowledge.
Oh yeah,
I definitely
the person
100%.
that's burning you.
Yeah,
you know, so say something, do something, like do something, man. But don't just fucking walk by like, oh man, this guy's stealing. You know,
or complain about it and cry about it. Like,
you know, say something, slap the dude, bomb on him, or something. You know, like,
to an extent. I mean, did you guys have merch for sale?
Yeah.
Okay, now he's robbing you. I was gonna say, to an extent, he's not really robbing you if you guys aren't selling clothes. But if you guys are selling clothes, then come buy the clothes from us. Because
bootleggers they're only selling shit that isn't. They're not selling shit because you're not. You know, they're selling shit because you are, and they see it makes money.
And they're selling it for cheaper.
And they're trying to get the back end.
Yeah, and they're like, well, that motherfucker got enough money. He don't need it, you know. He don't need it all.
No,
I can get mine.
Like, exactly. Like, you don't need rich. They just assume you're already rich.
Go fucking do your own rap record and do your own merch. Then,
exactly.
You know, like, I special. I got 2 hands, 2 legs.
It's hard to do that now because everybody got official websites and everything. Nowadays, in the 90s, it was too many people did that.
Well,
so I want to ask this because I know we got to close out. But like, what was it like? Because I want to get back to the tour and get a few of those guys in.
Right.
One, did you do any of the photography in the backstage of those tours? And 2, what was it like meeting like Eminem and Dr. Dre?
I did all. I shot every day.
Yeah. Every day on that tour, you were shooting
photos, and I shot footage every day.
Wow. And you still got that footage?
Yeah, and maybe 10% of my footage and photos were used in the movie. Like, I have over 500,000 photos, and I have 3 books out.
Yeah.
And each one of my books has like 300 photos in it.
What's your book called?
I have LA Woman, LA Portraits, and This is Los Angeles.
Okay.
So just, if you're thinking, like, if you just add up those numbers, at the most, people are seeing 900 pictures of mine in 3 different books. And I have over 500,000. I have a couple hundred hours of footage. And in that movie, like 80% of the movie was my footage. You know, there's little just seconds here and there of each clip. So you can imagine all the shit that I really got. You know, it's like, too much. And as far as Eminem and Dre, like I said, you know, Eminem's definitely one of the coolest people I've met, period. Not just in the industry or anything like that, or hip-hop or whatever. I mean, here's a guy we met in the 90s, and we were cool with him back then when he was just starting out. He came by himself when we hung out. So he didn't have the homies, he didn't have the entourage, none of that shit. And we were cool as fuck, and we treated him like, you know, like he was the shit, you know, like. Then later on down the years, he started, you know, getting having the entourage around, like, you know, a lot of the homies around. Then it was like, you know, security. Then, you know, the records just went, you know, through the sky, and he still was always the same.
Wow.
You know, like, he remained. Like, when we saw him this last time, I think it was 2018 or 2019, we went to interview him. He was just about to go on a tour. And it was just like old times, like, hey, what's up, homie, blah, blah, blah. And he was the biggest person that we interviewed in the movie as far as celebrity, money, following on social media.
Yeah.
So him being the biggest person on there, you know, we didn't pay him to be in the movie. We didn't pay him nothing. When the movie came out, him and Snoop were two of the first people that posted the trailer. And he was I think he was the only person to put the link of the Netflix movie in his bio.
Wow.
So he was like, check out this documentary. My homie's cartoonist Estevan did it. The link is in my bio.
That's love.
That's
we didn't ask him. We didn't know. We were like, people were like tagging me. Hey, check it out. Eminem look how Eminem did you. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, man, I wish I had his number and just be like, hey, homie, man, you got no idea how appreciative I am, you know, for this. Like,
thank you,
good looking now. Like,
thank you, man.
You know what I mean? Like, like that type of shit. Him and Snoop are like two of the coolest dudes that I bet, period, but especially in the industry. I met Dre a couple times. He's always cool as hell. You know, 50's always cool. Exhibit, you know, all those guys are there. I don't know, man. Everybody's been really cool with us, and we never had really any bad experiences with nobody.
Wow.
Except for the bootleggers.
Except for the bootleggers.
They gotta get it.
Man, you know what? There's very few people that I envy and everything, but you're definitely one of them, man. You had an amazing life. Tell everybody where to find you. If you have any projects going on right now that you want to promote, and we'll close this out.
All right, yeah. Anybody could find me on IG, Twitter, YouTube, my website. It's all, I keep it real simple for everybody, and it's Estevan Oriol.
Okay.
Estevan Oriol.
We'll
I don't do no underscores or no numbers and none of that shit.
It's just simple.
Put my name, no gimmicks, you know. Just,
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I want to cheers to you, man. You're an amazing person.
Get
whatever you got. And we get sponsored by them. Get that out of here. All right, cheers, man. Great life. Nice meeting you. And let's stay in touch, man.